here of future guest speakers. So you should have 2 sheets of paper, the agenda, and then something that has Gmail at the top. It's an email I sent to Tina, and she printed it out for me. Potential guest speakers for our future. And then we have some Sheriff's Department items. This handbook, I think, is super important if you don't have one of these. This gives a lot of good information. Most importantly, the phone number. Did anybody else need one? Oh, okay. And then there's some pens up here and so forth. And there's some bags. You guys want some bags? Well, you can grab one on your way out. Yes, Bill?
We can add code enforcement to that list.
Code enforcement's not on there?
I didn't see it.
Okay.
Yeah, this list was printed off our website, right?
Yes.
That's only going to be the ones that we offer.
Yeah.
Oh, the sheriff's.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can do even more than what's offered on there. But let's go to the agenda. First of all, I just want to thank you all for coming. I am going to do the best I can to be good stewards of your time. You guys made the decision to come tonight, all right? And many people, many residents, we have over, I think, 500 residents in just Navy Point. And many people don't think it's important to come, and that's fine. That's their free choice. You all chose to come. And I'm a big believer in Neighborhood Watch. It's, in my opinion, it's eyes and ears for them. We don't get involved. We don't do stuff. We call them. So I have seen it work. I was telling Tina earlier and John about the neighborhood in Chula Vista, California, where I'm from, where we took a predominantly gang-riddled, cartel-owned neighborhood, and little by little, it took us over 5 years, we transformed it into a safe neighborhood. Still had minor problems, but we chipped away at their income revenue, and they decided to pack up and do operations elsewhere. So I've seen it work. Navy Point is nowhere at the point we were at 10 years ago in San Diego. But we do have some problems. We do have some issues. And my opinion is, I think we live in a little slice of heaven in Navy Point. And I think a lot of people are, like myself, are finding it. And not only law-abiding people, non-law-abiding people. And so I think it's good that we start taking a little bit more proactive approach and being aware of what's happening in our neighborhood. And again, being the eyes and ears for them so they can come do their job in our neighborhood more efficiently. So I'm a big advocate of it, all right? Sorry, I kind of jumped the gun on this. I want to make sure, sticking with the agenda, that we're in the right place. We meet on the first Monday of every month. Okay, so if you guys want to get super involved and come to every single meeting, start blocking that out on your calendars. First Monday, 6 o'clock, right here at the Escambia County Warrington substation here. Bill?
Unless it's a holiday.
Unless it's a holiday. Yeah, unless it's an unusual.
New Year's Day is on Monday.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. But that's something that's good. I like the time, 6 o'clock. For now, let's keep it at 6 o'clock. If we feel like we need to change it to 6:30 or whatever, we'll talk about that in the future. But for the rest of this year, let's keep it at 6 o'clock. On some of the signs that Tina and I posted out over the past 5 days, I had the wrong address. I don't know if you guys saw that. I put 30 North Navy Boulevard, which is, there's not a 30, we're at 20 North Navy Boulevard. The Escambia County Warrington substation, where we're at. I bolded the phone number. Again, I just want to highlight that. That phone number, if you call that number puts you to the dispatch right at the front of this building. I advocate calling 911 when an emergency happens. But if you call this number in Navy Point for a Navy Point problem, your response time is greater to be quicker. because it's gonna put you to that dispatcher right there. So if we got an active shooter in Navy Point and we need immediate people coming down, we really need to get that phone number. I mean, 911's gonna get us there. It's just gonna go through a couple more loops, and the response time might be a couple seconds later, which all we know in today's day and age, response time is so key, especially with serious situations, active shooters, and just serious situations like that. You know, heart attacks and life support, life flight's got to come down and get somebody or whatever, a boating accident or something. So my name is Jerry Nesselrode. This is my very first meeting. I've been a member coming to these for a little over a year, but this is the first one I'm running as our new president. So please give me grace as I make mistakes and I fumble things around, and I hope to improve and get better each month and definitely be receptive to your concerns. With that said, I do want to make a strong statement, which is, if you're here in this meeting and you're going, oh, cool, seems like a decent guy, letting us know, we got a neighborhood watch. You know what? We got some problem. I'm just going to call Jerry. No. It's not going to work that way. One, I don't have the time. I'm doing multiple jobs. I'm very busy. And it's not, you see a problem, call Jerry. Because Jerry's not going to respond. He's not going to return your call and things like that. Second, and more importantly, it's the wrong chain to call anyway. If you want to call about activity in criminal activity or things that you have concerns about or things that are happening in Navy Point, you call the Sheriff's Department. Or you're going to have to do your own if you're interested in code enforcement or whatever. I can try and help get you to the right people, but I don't even want to offer that. Google is way better than me. And Howard or Bill or other people in this room are way better now at getting you to the right thing. If you have a concern about something in Navy Point, I am the president of this meeting, but I see my role here as facilitating this 1 hour meeting once a month. And maybe putting up the signs, advertising, maybe try and get more members involved, more neighbors involved. But as far as taking action, I will take action on things that I'm concerned about, but you guys are going to need to take action on things you're concerned about and not call Jerry Nesselrode to get it fixed for you, okay? I may partner with you on things that I'm very concerned about, but I'm not going to get it done, and I don't want that to be known. So I think I've said that enough. I've set the tone with that. So that's my name. Right now, we do not have a vice president. I would like to have a vice president of our group to help us. Right now, we have nobody. This is not mandatory, but I live on the north end of Sunset, on northwest Kalash. I would kind of prefer if a vice president steps up, that person be kind of on the south end, because I'd like to see a good cover of all of Navy Point. I spend most of my time on the north end of that. So, I mean, I go down to the playground every once in a while, but I live up this way. I live up on the north side. So that's just a thought. Tina Tillery is our secretary. She's been doing this for a couple years now. And so I really appreciate you, Tina, in doing this, because not to get into it too much, but I have an undiagnosed condition. I can't really write very fast, nor legibly. So Tina is championing that for us and taking notes. If she does not have your email and you want to be notified of reminders of these meetings, and more importantly, of the notes of our meetings, please give her your email. So she, in about 5 days to a week, she'll put the notes together and she'll email it out to you guys. So we can reflect on it, think about it, kind of prepare for the next meeting, things we missed, whatever, okay? But also, and if you have neighbors, friends that want to get involved, well, I didn't know about it. You know, it was the wrong sign. It said 30 North Avenue. It was, you know, the stupid president got the wrong address up. let them know, get them on the email list, so Tina can send a reminder email. So we can, I would love to see this grow. And we get more, I think the more neighbors we have involved, the stronger we are, okay? On a multitude of issues. So with that said, I'm probably cutting it tight on time. I would like to go around more and give everybody a quick opportunity to introduce themselves. You don't have to if you don't want to, if you're uncomfortable, but just your name, maybe the street you live on. If you want to, you don't have to. And then, without taking too much, maybe if you have a significant concern related to crime prevention. Tina is just kind of taking notes, and I don't want to state anything up front, but if you're like, this is clearly the biggest issue, I think, Jerry, in 20 seconds or less. Okay, and Tina's just going to kind of note it down and make sure everybody gets a voice here, because I just want to make sure you're noted here. We will have a little bit of time after 6:30 to talk more about it, so don't feel like you're just going to say one word and that's it, you don't get to talk again. I just kind of want to keep it moving along quick, okay? So we're good? Excellent. Can we start? Well, let's start here. Who are you?
Deputy Howard Anderson. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 44 years. I've been assigned to community policing for roughly the last 12 years.
And it's just, for, if you're coming here for the first time, David Craig is usually our contact. He couldn't make it tonight. He had a doctor's appointment tonight. But he's the guy I'm in contact with a lot on setting this stuff up. When David can't make it, then Howard comes as a substitute.
I'm at every meeting anyway.
And actually, they both come. So, but it's always good to know. All right.
David Toller, Payne Road down near Bobbitt's there. Been in the neighborhood like 5 years and love the neighborhood. I want to just participate in whenever I can. I guess my biggest concern, and it's not so much in Navy Point proper anymore, but it's all around here in Warrington, is the homeless and the blight. And unfortunately, nothing can be done. As much as I call the Sheriff's Department, there's really no response or no action. So I just will.
The county may be fixing to address that. They were going to discuss a new ordinance. Now, whether it would be constitutional or not would be a question.
So, homelessness.
Well, the trouble caused by the homelessness. If we're opening up our vacant areas and as the homeless, it just brings in trouble.
My name's Clarice. I just moved to Navy Point, but I've been riding my bike there for 2 years, wanting to move, and I just moved. I've been there a month, so I'm very happy. I find the litter a problem, and I can't understand why it's such a beautiful place, how someone can just throw their garbage on the ground. It irks me. There's so many garbage cans. Maybe we could get more garbage cans, but there's enough around to find one. And I noticed that the construction over there by Triangle Park, the workers have been dumping a lot of their crap, and it's annoying. I wanted to say something one day, but then I'm like, you know what? I just moved here. I did go on the Navy Point website and said something on Facebook, but it's really frustrating. That's all. It's everywhere though.
Yeah.
But,
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Mel Pino. We live on Southeast Boblets. We live with my husband Mike and our friend Kevin lives with us as well with our yellow lab Amos. And absolutely my number one concern, not inherent necessarily to Navy Point, but we have had issues with it, is gun violence.
Gun violence?
Gun violence throughout the entire county, and we've had a couple of instances with drive-by shootings in the past, so that's not to freak newcomers out, for instance, and think that this isn't all the time occurrence. We've been here for 10 years and it's happened twice, but it's getting worse every day.
Okay, thanks.
Richard, I live on Sunset. My concern is the speed.
Speed.
In the neighborhood. Sunset's like a drag race strip down through there. Nothing has been done. That's my concern.
Thank you, Richard.
Deborah, I've been coming to these meetings for 5.5 years and I live on Sunset. I guess my concern is the homeless, because you can go other places, there's homeless, but there's not like this is. This is unbelievable. I mean, I've been to a lot of places, same sites, and it's not the issue, but it is here. It's like, nobody does anything, so.
Okay, thanks.
I'm Ted Hawthorne, live on Northwest Circle right across from the park. Richard and I are not in cahoots, but I came here tonight to bring up the issue of the safety of the Northwest Circle and Sunset. People fly through there. People can't see the stop sign heading north on Circle when they're coming towards Sunset. I've seen people just blow through there and collisions missed by inches. When you're coming off there are speed bumps on Sunset everywhere except on the west side of the bridge coming down. And so when you go back towards Tribal Park, you hear people hit that last speed bump and they slam it down. So it's an incredibly dangerous road. It is getting worse. But I share the litter, which I have some ideas of talking about that, certainly with homeless. But Jerry, thanks for taking this on because it's an important task.
Yeah, well, I'm just bringing awareness.
No.
So, speeding.
No, I mean.
Yeah, speeding, right? Okay, next. Ready?
I'm Beth, I live on Sunset. I've been coming to these meetings since they started, pretty much. But I've been in Navy Point 22 years, and probably my biggest concern would be the homeless we don't see along the waterfront. I don't know why that's my biggest concern, but it's a pet peeve, I guess, maybe. Not looking to solve the problem, I just am looking at Navy Point only, which is a big problem here, so.
Homelessness.
Bill Norvell, I live on southeast Kalash, and I think my concern is indifference. We've got 750 plots plus or minus in Navy Point proper, which goes from the bridge to Heinrich to Northwest Circle and the 600 block and McCarroll. But we put up the sign, the marquee that tells about the meeting, we put up this, and I'm not saying neighborhood watch or it's events in Triangle Park or the Christmas parade. People just don't want to get involved, and that's their choice. But it's people like to complain, but they don't put in the time.
Yep. Yeah. There you go. So indifference, taking a proactive approach. So,
I'm John Ryan, my wife Charlotte, we live on Boblets, we have 2 daughters. As far as illegal activity, I haven't really seen much, obviously a few drive-bys that was pretty close to my house, but I'd say some of the homeless as well. In front of my house, there's like a barrier of woods there that people kind of hang out.
yeah.
I confronted a few of them a couple times, so. One of them, I think he pulled a knife on us, so it is a concern, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
That concerns me. So, John?
John and Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you want to add, Charlotte? Or?
My concern is speeding.
Speeding.
Especially, yes, on Boblets. Even though they're speed bumps, people just fly by. And my nephew, who was here with us this past summer, he almost just got run over. And it was just, we were screaming, like, stop. I mean, it was vehicles on both sides. So I'm very thankful that he's okay. However, the speeding it's ridiculous.
It's like drag race from speed bump to speed bump.
Yeah.
At one point, there was supposed to be 4 speed bumps on southeast Boblets from Angelo Colabianchi's house to Gibbs.
Okay.
Somebody got the kibosh to 2 of them. But they do help.
Okay.
John King, I live on Flannan. Concerns in the area, mostly kind of, I guess, compliance. We have many houses in the area that aren't kept up. It's Sunset, there's a lot of debris along Sunset right now, and there's no scheduled cleanup for that. And then I know earlier in the spring, it was more like the homeless, they were more visible. I haven't seen much lately, but That'd be my concern, you know, especially if you've got several houses that are in receivership or something, you know, I'm concerned they'll attract some unsavory behavior.
Those two kind of go hand in hand a little bit, homelessness and upkeep of a neighborhood.
Yep.
That's, homeless kind of tend to congregate in areas that.
Yeah, people seem to be taking care of it.
Okay. Did you want to jump in, Kevin?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'm Kevin Wade, and I'm tired of meetings. Just so tired of meetings.
Should be illegal.
I end up winning. I win meetings. It takes a while, but I do win. And I'm just tired of the meetings. You know, it's like, how many of us know that salute from Al-Anon, Alateen of like, I don't want to go to another meeting. Oh, we shouldn't need meetings.
Okay.
And the bully aspect that we have in this neighborhood should be stopped. Thankfully, the authorities understand it, but I'm just tired of it. Absolutely tired of it.
Kevin is his own man, and he's probably tired of meetings right now because I drug him out tonight. So have patience with him. Maybe he'll be in a better mood next time.
Well, I thank you for being here, Kevin.
That is not my opinion.
Yeah. You're a resident of Navy Point, so I appreciate you being here.
Don't come.
There's the door.
Don't come.
And do you mind? Would you listen yourself?
I'm Tina. I live on Gibbs Road, and I really don't have a lot of concerns because usually I just keep to myself, walk around the neighborhood, and just take photos and enjoy the natural beauty of the neighborhood.
Cool. Thanks, Tina. Okay. So going to our agenda, I'm trying to keep a time schedule here. 6:15, it's 6:25 now. We're going to go into what we call old business. Old business from a previous meeting or potential previous meetings. I'm already failing because I did not review last month's meeting notes. But old business of things you guys want to bring up from the last meeting that we had. Any follow-ups, or Tina, do you, was there any? Oh, Dave.
Yeah, I think when there was last meeting, the meeting prior, somebody brought up like a welcome kit to new neighbors, to give them a little handout about what's going on in the neighborhood, give them some sheriff's department numbers, things like that. And Debbie brought them today, so there's a few things here, maybe some magnets or other things, but maybe getting a committee to put together bags, and then when a neighbor shows up, a new neighbor, and another neighbor can go knock on the door and say welcome. So I don't think there's a need to have a welcome committee per se, but it would be nice to have a committee of welcoming. So if anybody's interested.
I did get a welcome.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
I was very pleased, thank you. He enlightened me about a lot of things, just about my house. So that was great, but I had a question about the drive-by shooting. Was that in Navy Point?
I don't, Mel, did you?
Was that in Navy Point, that drive-by?
Unfortunately, John and Charlie can speak to it.
It was, yeah, it was on Boblets. There was a house. It was kind of a known drug dealer out of it. So
Out of the house and that?
yeah, he was I think he was renting a house, and I don't know, it was a territorial thing, but
Is he still there?
no, he's
Sold
not.
and
He's no longer with us.
an attorney owns it.
Yeah, so
Oh,
they tried shooting him. They shot his house. He wasn't home. They went to, I guess he was at his uncle's house over on First Street.
Yeah.
First Street.
how
And
long ago was that?
that was 4 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's been a while.
Yeah.
Wasn't, nothing's recent?
No.
No,
Okay,
just so, because you deserve to know.
I'm from
because I
Chicago,
brought
so
that up.
nothing is gonna,
Yeah.
Northeast Iowa, spent a lot of time there.
yeah.
The other one is also no longer there, so it was another drug house on Brown, and there was a woman in our neighborhood who used to live in it named Allison Dooley. She worked really hard with one of the neighbors and couple of us helped a little bit, but it was primarily Allison working with the sheriff's department to accumulate like evidence and stuff. And the sheriff's department conducted a really good investigation and did a very thorough bust of the entire house and all of their associates. And I don't think there's been any issues on that block since.
Okay,
And
well,
that
good.
was even longer. I think that was 5 or 6 years, 5 years ago.
I thought this was pretty recent, so
Yeah.
I feel better now.
Yeah. I think to these, and so these are good points. To get back to David's point, I like a welcoming thing, that you were welcomed here, that somebody,
Yeah.
reached out to you. So please, right now, we are, but about 20 of us, 15 of us here, we're the welcoming committee. So please, what we have is take a bag, take some pens, take this pamphlet, that is super important, and please give it to your neighbors. And invite them the first Monday of every month, 6 o'clock, right here, to participate and join us. That would be good. Bill?
We talked about ECUA and picking up garbage, and talked to our board member, Lois Benson, and she said that they need to do a better job publicizing, advertising, because they had a change in policy. This summer, they used to basically come through with a claw truck and pick up anything in all neighborhoods, and shortage of manpower and smart utilization of their people. They sent out a notice with your bill, which most people probably don't read anyway. You have to call them, tell them what you're gonna put out, and they'll pick it up. And I asked, could a neighborhood watch or a CRA, because there are 9 of them in the county, could a CRA or a neighborhood watch say, these are things in our neighborhood, and if you can verify they have garbage service, can you pick it up? And the feedback on that was, if I called in John's house, and he had a couch and a box springs out there, but there was also a Weber grill, and they took the Weber grill, and he says that wasn't, and ECUA gets pushback from that. So she said from that point, they would prefer the customer. And so I thought about talking to you guys, see if we could come up with a little letter that says, just so you know, ECUA will pick this up if you tell them what's there and you call it in.
Yeah.
But they're gonna publicize on Nextdoor, on Facebook, Navy Point Facebook, and some of the areas in her district that, that I said, that's not gonna cost you anything.
So the homeowner
Has to call. Has to call.
And specify.
So, but I said I'd get some feedback from Lois, and I was hoping that we, as a group, could call in these 10 areas or whatever. They've got the trash out there, and they're waiting for somebody to pick it up.
Yeah.
But she said they would prefer not, they would prefer the homeowner to actually call it.
So I think the resolution to it is, if we could friendly, respectfully ask our homeowners, hey, here's the number, do you mind calling?
Well, taking a cue from David, and less contact is probably better. And if you can just have a flyer, stick it in their door, and just say, that way you're not interrupting anything or not stepping on somebody's toes.
Jerry, may I?
Yeah, please.
Just to piggyback on what Bill said, it's difficult because ECUA's policies are always fluctuating. It's one thing one week and one thing the next. So I don't know if the last time Bill called in, they were actually doing fees, but the last time that I called in for something for the big pickup, I was told, well, you gotta call on Monday and you gotta get in the queue, and we've only got so many spots, like 13 a day, and so call as early as you can so you hit that spot. And then someone will come out the week before to see how big it is so that they know how much to charge you. And I said, well, they gave me the cubic feet. I figured it out, and it was gonna be like way cheaper to haul it to the dump. So we paid the tipping fee at the dump. Now, that's not to say, Bill, that you didn't have a different conversation, because they're all over the map all the time.
Things like a couch or something like that, they'll pick up, and depending what the size is.
It sounds like a speaker
Yeah, an ECUA speaker.
Having an ECA, so if we could make sure we note that might be a priority for us.
Bill, in your experience, do you know, are there any residents that don't have ECA service?
Oh, I'm sure there's a ton. That's if I was watching money, that's the first thing I'd cut, is because you can take your own trash to a dumpster someplace else, but you're supposed to have garbage service. It's a violation not to have it, whether, I think that's code enforcement to an extreme level where you're saying they don't have garbage service. But, because when I asked Lois, she goes, well, everybody has garbage service. And I said, well, not everybody pays for it. Which she says, if there's a can there, they will pick it up. But if they're not paying for it, then ECUA's losing money. But it's.
Yeah. Okay, so I think having a speaker would be a priority for our group, right? Tina and I will look through all the notes from you guys.
ECUA has a speaker that will come out and talk about what their policies are.
Okay, so that'll be good. Okay, it's a little after 6:30. We're kind of moving into it. Any other old business before we get into new business? We're kind of getting into new business a little bit. But I just noted these things on the agenda, just things that popped in my head just off the bat, just discussion points. They don't need to center on this, but shared community spots in the neighborhood. From what I've witnessed in the past 2 years, the boat ramp. I'm a dog lover, so John knows I think I fostered 4 dogs in the past 5 months and rehomed them and so forth. And I've noticed that boat ramp has become the dumping ground for a lot of dogs. So boat ramp is something in our neighborhood. Triangle Park, right in the middle of our neighborhood. We've already brought up the concerns about the speeding. That's right on that one side of Triangle Park on Gibbs there, I believe. That's right, Am I accurate? The playground down at the south end, and there's some construction going on down there. I've talked to a couple homeowners down there. They've noticed some unsavory people hanging out in the playground, looking at their kids, kind of wondering who these people are. They're not parents, not dads. And so they've approached them and said, what are you doing? Hanging out at the neighborhood. So that's just another point in our neighborhood, potentially. And then another one that we all share, no matter where you are, even if you're not close to water, the walking, biking trail at Water's Edge. That basically encompasses Navy Point. We brought up the homeless issue, and that's, there's brush, there's hidden areas underneath the bridge where there's overgrowth. That's where people like to kind of hide and spend the night and so forth. So these are just 4 areas that I kind of highlighted as areas that I think we can help our sheriff's department to highlight and just be eyes and ears. Make a phone call. Hey, there's 60-year-old man at midnight on Friday night at the playground. Can we request an officer, if one's available, to just drive by and do a sweep and check it out? I just want to emphasize again, the more we can call, the better for all of us, even if we're wrong. Even if we're wrong, please don't be afraid to call the phone number. The team, the sheriff's department, they will prioritize the arrangement of calls. And obviously, 4 p.m. to 3 a.m. or later is going to be response time. I don't know what response times are, but I would think at night is when they're going to be super busy. But I just want to press, make the phone call. I believe you can stay anonymous, right?
Yes.
You call that number. You do not have to give your name.
Does that affect the response?
What's that?
If someone says anonymous or someone gives their name,
No.
That doesn't impact.
That has nothing to do with it. It's the information that we get from you.
So, and I just feel like the more calls we can make, the more we're saying we care about our neighborhood. We want you here.
What did you say?
I asked him if he made a phone call, if you didn't give your name and you said you wanted to remain anonymous, does that change the priority of the call response from the sheriff's department? He said no.
It doesn't. It's the information that you give us. The way we prioritize calls is if there is a chance that someone is being hurt or going to be hurt, if it's someone that has a weapon, possibly has a weapon, if there's danger to someone immediately, that goes high priority. If it's a suspicious person and he's just walking through the neighborhood, we're going to come, but that takes a lower priority. So we're going to have to go to the calls where there's a chance of people being hurt first.
So let me ask you.
Oh, go ahead. I just want to add on, the reason I asked is because I'm fearful of retaliation. For example, if you call for a code violation on somebody, they can, hey, who called about this, and they can know who you are.
Yeah.
So if I call code enforcement on some whacked out crackhead, then he could come after me.
What?
So living in the woods.
Code enforcement seem like two different things to me.
Okay, if they're living in the woods next to you and you can't get them out, you want to call code enforcement.
You report suspicious activity.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with code enforcement. The law changed in the state of Florida last year. If you call code enforcement now, they cannot take an anonymous call. That the person that calls is public information. The reason they did that is because they found statewide that they were getting a lot of calls to code enforcement that were not legitimate, people that were trying to harass other people.
Right, so why are you calling code enforcement on a crackhead?
Because they live in the woods next to me.
That's still law enforcement.
That's
It's
still
not
a law
code
enforcement problem.
That's called the police.
I call the sheriff's department, they go out and talk to them, and they still stay there. They're still doing crazy shit all night.
And you call again.
I've called 27 times.
Here's the problem. Until the county makes it illegal to be there, that's where the issue's coming from. The county is supposed to be meeting with their legal, with their attorney. They're going to try to draft some ordinances on the homeless problem, but so far, each ordinance they've drafted has been declared unconstitutional by a judge. And once they declare it unconstitutional, then it's null and void.
Are you sure they're coming out? Can you verify that they are coming out? Are you able to see that they came out?
Yes.
So they are coming out?
Yes, and then basically unfortunately, it seems like that the homeless there are, okay, cool, they allow me to stay here, and so it gets worse.
Well, they can't stay after dark.
So what's the criteria that you would come out and do something? I know you mentioned about
whatever the law
weapons.
says is where ordinance frames the law. The law says if they're on private property, it's your property, you can run them off. You can call us and we'll run them off for you. If it's on public property, the courts are starting to rule that that's a different issue because it's public property.
Even if there's hours posted?
Yes. There have been a lot of issues with that. We're currently going through a lawsuit involving a homeless problem we had here where we enforced one of the county ordinances that was declared unconstitutional. And they're suing the sheriff's office because we enforced it.
Because at the end of Gibbs, which is where the playground is, people park there after hours, like tonight, it's nighttime, the park is closed.
Yes.
And if they're doing something nefarious or whatever.
We can deal with that issue.
Yeah.
But like homelessness, like underneath the bridge and things like that, that's where there's a fine line that we have to walk.
So, but if I call it in suspicious activity, park in a park
yes,
that's closed.
We're going to enforce the county ordinance on parks. The parks are open from daylight till dusk.
What he's saying is that he's called 27 times and
That's-
they're still there. Are they not
What
making?
time of day
not-
are you calling?
I've called.
That's on Old
5
Quarry.
o'clock in the morning until midnight. Now, the problem, my specific issue is, it's not specifically the park. They gotta walk through the park to get to it, but they just hang out in the woods. And, it's not good stuff.
But that's on your Old Quarry property? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not a park.
Yeah, but they have to go through the park to get to and from it, for one thing, unless they use the easement or whatever.
The boardwalk is what you're talking about?
The sidewalk, and they come through the park to get there.
Oh, through the big park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, when I came over tonight, there's a fire going in the woods, and they're doing it. And, the good homeless guys, I don't mind as much, but they shouldn't be there.
We're familiar with the issue there because we've been out there with code enforcement. problem is what the law allows us to do. And the county is aware of it. Commissioner Kohler was speaking the other night, was talking about it. The county attorney is trying to help them draft some ordinances that we can use to enforce. But like I said, the problem is once a judge rules it's unconstitutional, that ordinance is null and void, no matter what the county says. That's the issue that we're having.
And that, what you're talking about is outside of Navy Point, right? That location? So let's try and keep discussion inside of Navy Point, which is why we're all here. That's a problem, but that neighborhood watch needs to address that, not us.
What is this neighborhood watch cover? I thought this was Warrington.
No, we're Navy Point. Navy Point. Now, Warrington's welcome to be here, definitely. I just want to make sure we're focused on Navy Point.
Yeah, because just when you go down Sunset and cross over Navy, you're invited to Davenport. They have neighborhood watch.
Beach Haven has neighborhood watch.
Edgewater.
Jerry?
Yes.
Just really quickly, I wanted to add to what Officer Anderson said. The BCC did schedule this past Thursday. They scheduled for the first, I don't know if that ordinance is going to need 1 or 2 public meetings, but they did the scheduling of it for a road safety ordinance, which people are calling a panhandling ordinance, but it's really not. It's a road safety ordinance, which to my mind is a really good idea to keep people off of loitering on medians that are less than 6 feet. Like there's a certain, like the skinny median, where people like hang out. And also just kind of a reinforcement of current books that are in the law about aggressively coming up to cars. All of, stepping out into the road and stuff and approaching cars is already illegal, but it's just kind of a reinforcement of some of that behavior. So just so people know.
The reason that we can't do anything with that problem is because the judge ruled that unconstitutional. There was a county ordinance that was passed. You could not step into the roadway to take something from a car. And that's the lawsuit we're going through. We arrested a gentleman for doing that. And the American Civil Liberties Union and the Coalition for the Homeless filed a lawsuit against the county and the Sheriff's Department. And it hasn't been through the court system yet. So that ordinance right now is unconstitutional. So on the appeals court rule,
the new one or the old one?
The old one. I don't know how the county is going to reword this new one, because
that's
it's
why
going to run into the same issue if they try to do it similar to that. And I don't always agree with what the judges say, but they're judges. We can't overrule them.
Well, when we first moved down here, the first time I encountered somebody in the median was when volunteer firefighters used to do their boot drives. I just thought, that's one of the most dangerous things I've ever seen. The guys were on the sides of the street. It was a completely good cause, but approaching cars with boots and stuff.
Yes.
So I thought that's a pretty positive and totally constitutional thing.
You don't see the News Journal setting up an intersection selling either because of that ordinance. They could right now.
That you don't see what?
The News Journal used to have people that stood on the side of the roadway, and they would walk out in the intersection and sell newspapers to people in cars.
No, nobody would buy them anyway.
I look at it like the newspaper is old news. If you're reading that, you're reading last week's news.
Okay, let's stay focused. So many of these issues, let's stay focused on Navy Point. That's our meeting. That's our neighborhood. So the panhandling in the streets. I don't think that's happening on Sunset. Maybe on Gulf Beach's highway.
I've seen it at Navy and Gulf Beach, but you have to go farther down Gulf Beach Highway before you see it again.
Yeah. And I mean, there is legitimacy in discussing this, because my opinion is that stuff that's happening in Warrington proper or Myrtle Grove or wherever, it's pushing in to our neighborhood.
I don't know if y'all are familiar with this, but the sheriff put this out to the public here a while back. The problem with panhandling here is they come here because the people in Pensacola are generous. We feel sorry for them. And some people are homeless because of, bad circumstances. Some people are homeless because they choose to be. How do you pick which one's which? You know, some of them don't go to the shelters because they can't be drunk, they can't be high. So the problem you have is we actually condone this because we give them stuff. If people would stop giving them stuff, then they would have no motivation to stand on a street corner and hold a cardboard sign. They would have to go to a shelter.
Okay. Yes.
There's a green van that has been parked on both sides of the bridge, and I feel sorry for the woman, and then I wasn't even sure if it was just a woman because 3 weeks ago, the guy was laying on the ground outside the van. And I mean, this van just goes back and forth from park to park over the bridge.
I've gotten out with the van, but so far I haven't found anybody with the van.
Oh, really?
It's an old beat up green van.
Green van, yeah.
I know exactly the one you're talking about.
They're living in there, but they just go back and forth to the parks at different times. You know, in the morning in this park, at night at that park. And it's been going on like over a year.
Yeah, if we can catch them there, we can address that.
Really? Well, they're in there sleeping.
Well, I've been
in
up
the
to the
back.
van and looked inside, nobody was there. The van was unlocked.
Really?
Windows were down, the doors were open, but nobody was inside.
Wow. Crazy.
Something I did, and I think I've shared this with several in San Diego, is this video camera thing on my phone is very effective. It's not necessarily a weapon, a gun or a knife or something, but boy, do homeless people not like this. And what I did a lot of is when I approached some vagrants and I said, hey guys, what are you guys up to? Why are you videotaping me, man? Oh, it's a public place. Is this your private residence? Man, why you gotta be that way? Actually, why do you have to be that way? And I record myself and them. And then I give it to them and I let them decide what to do. But I'm not advocating for you guys to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, I'll say it, especially females. But this is something I do. And they don't like it. But that park, these parks, these places, these are our parks too. And homeless people need to know that. We're allowed to be there at 3 a.m. in the morning too. Well, no we're not, because the park's closed. But I go there with my video camera rolling, and I videotape myself. My name's Jerry Nesselrode. This is what I'm seeing. I send it to him. He then makes the determination. Who's the criminal here, or what's going on, and that's it. And for those of you that don't want to be confronted, some of these people, you can do it from the privacy of your own house. If you have a window that overlooks some of these areas, the boat ramp, you can just videotape from your house, and then you can send that to him. Say, this is what I observed.
Wasn't it you that came out and talked to me that day? The homeless guy started yelling, screaming, and hollering at me.
I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
I just knew that it sounded like somebody was getting into a kerfuffle.
Oh, he got all upset because I asked him
Behind the
where he
bush,
lived,
right?
and I said, let me guess, you're homeless.
Yeah,
And he
like,
went bonkers.
I've told you and any deputy
Yeah.
that's in Navy Point, anytime you guys find yourself in need of any footage, our cameras see very well, night, day, long distance, motion, license plate readers. So if you guys are without video of something that happened, chances are we're gonna have it if it's right in that vicinity.
Yeah, I thank you for that, Debbie.
I have family that live in Lake City, and I-75 and 90 come there, and there's an exit there, and there's all these restaurants and everything there. That used to be the biggest encampment underneath that bridge there for homeless people, transient people, whatever. They went, and there's an ordinance on there and a sign that says you cannot be under this bridge. As soon as that sign was up there, there was nobody. Now they may be 6 blocks away, but they have everything going on there. They have hospitals there, they have VA hospital, they have just a lot of crap going on there. It's one of the most dangerous cities in Florida. But then they put fences around, but you don't see any of these people anymore. They're gone.
The county had a homeless expert came in, and he spoke to the county, gave solutions. The problem is, it's gonna take funding from the county and from the city to do this. gotta provide some kind of place for them to go. That's the problem.
My suggestion is contact them. They have it, they've done it. I mean, I don't know if it is Columbia County, if it is Lake City, if it's the
Well,
state.
I know the county commissioners are looking at it because Commissioner Culver and Commissioner Bender were the ones talking about it. And they were reaching out to other locations that have been successful with homeless. The problem you have is that a judge here may rule one way, where a judge somewhere else rules a different way. And that's, we see it all the time where one court will say this is constitutional, when the next court will say it's not, which creates a problem. I used to think that anytime there was a disagreement between courts, it would automatically go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court can decide not to hear a case, which makes it mute. Whatever the last court ruled is what they're willing to be. I don't know why it's that way.
Well, next time I'm there, I'll take a picture of the sign and I'll bring it, I'll share it.
But they're working on drafting a couple of ordinances here for the county.
I mean, it's still a hitchhiker place, people get dirt rides and stuff, but it was really bad. I mean, you don't want to stop underneath the bridge at the stoplight.
If you haven't been downtown Pensacola is pretty bad. One of the gentlemen who ran for mayor and didn't win has been going downtown taking pictures of the homeless sleeping on the sidewalks in front of businesses.
I just stepped over some last week.
Yeah, well, it's definitely an issue that's been brought up at this meeting, so I think we're gonna have some sort of speaker in the near future, in the next couple months, on how we can address it. We got about 5 minutes left. I do have two, little bit more minor issues that I think would be, we're now in November 6th, we're getting into holiday, we're in holiday season, Halloween's over. Just a friendly words of advice. Packages delivery, and you guys know about porch pirates. So if you don't have a good relationship with your neighbors, or you don't have a good relationship with your UPS, FedEx, Amazon delivery drivers, I strongly advise you develop one, either or both, and figure out an area, if you get a lot of deliveries for Christmas gifts and so forth, that is not visible from the street. I used to be an Amazon driver, and if it's kind of in the Amazon training, if you go up to the door and you step up a little bit, a lot of our houses are, they have subfloors, so you step up a little bit, knock on the door, nobody's there. I created a nice little drop-off point behind my hedges, perfect for any big package. That once, and I put a sign in the bottom of it, and the only way you could read it was if you stood up and knocked on my door and you looked to the left and down, and in big bold it said, Amazon, UPS, FedEx packages here, please. And the Amazon guy just, boom, right there, and off he went. But from the street, you couldn't see it. And that's how these porch pirates work. They just kind of cruise down the street, and they see the Amazon thing or the UPS thing, and they just jump out, grab it.
Sometimes they'll even follow and watch them make a delivery.
Yeah, that too. So just because we're in that season now, and I know it's much lesser problem. I mean, Amazon will reimburse you, I think, but it's a headache, right? You don't need that, and there's easy solutions. If you don't have hedges or a little hiding space in your front, then just befriend your neighbors and see if they're willing to take in your stuff or move it to your backyard or whatnot. So that's part of the whole neighborhood watch, right? We're looking out for each other. That was one thing, and then I'm trying to think of what
Packages in your car.
What's that?
Packages in your car.
Yeah, or any belongings in your car. Yeah, absolutely.
And especially a pistol.
Yeah, don't do this one.
And my wife uses FedEx and UPS religiously.
Yeah, so she knows.
Yeah, oh, she knows.
Oh, I know what the other thing was. Okay, the next meeting, not that I'm adjourning the meeting, we have a few minutes, but I want to make sure we get this in. Our past president has advised me that typically December meetings are very low turnout. Almost, I don't want to say waste of time, but very poor turnout. And it's busy time. So I'm going to leave it up to this group. Now, if we want to have a meeting, I'm planning on being in town. Do we know that date, Tina? The first Monday in December? think it's, I wanna say it's the 4th, but it's the first Monday in December. If we want to have a meeting, and I make sure, and I'll try and get a guest speaker here, and I'm hearing a lot of various issues here. Do you know that date?
The 4th.
It is December 4th, so 6 o'clock here. So let's go show of hands. Who would like to attend a meeting here at 6 o'clock on December 4th? So, feeling pretty much unanimous. So I'm gonna go ahead and schedule this meeting for December 4th, here at 6 o'clock, 1 hour. I'm gonna kind of sit down with Tina this week and kind of review what we talked about tonight, and probably have a guest speaker for the December meeting, and address whatever Tina and I compile as whatever you guys brought to us as the most important issue from this meeting. We'll have a guest speaker for that. Okay, quickly, I call this in my religious studies popcorn, but just quick popcorn things that you wanted to make sure were voiced tonight, that before we adjourn, that you feel like didn't get said. 30 seconds or less. 20 seconds or less. Anybody? Okay, well, with that said, it's 2 minutes till. Could someone make a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn, a second. Second that motion? Second the motion. And our meeting is adjourned, and I thank you all for coming out tonight, and I hope to see you all in the December meeting. All right, have a good night. Take some pizza home if you like. Take some, make sure you take one of these pamphlets home if you don't have one. And the phone number in there is the important number to call. Thank you all for coming. Yes, thank you for coming. See, I hear you on that speed.
Such a crap.
Thank you. We're trying to get rid of